Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're looking closely at some passages from a real classic children's adventure. Enid Blyton's Five Get Into Trouble.
Hmm.
And, don't let that children's book label fool you. These pages, they pack surprising punch suspense, real danger, and some fascinating character moments.
That's absolutely right. We're diving into a specific bit of the famous Five cycling holiday where things take a sharp turn. A seemingly minor event just sends them spiraling into, well, a genuinely tricky situation.
So our mission here is to follow that thread of trouble, from those first kind of small encounters right up to the big reveals.
Yeah, unpacking what these moments tell us about the characters, Blyton's writing style, and maybe the nature of adventure itself.
What are the key insights we're looking for in these pages?
We'll be looking at how tiny details plant those seeds of doubt early on, how the setting itself almost becomes a character, and how bravery can pop up in really unexpected ways.
Okay, let's get into it. The scene opens, the kids are on the cycling tour, they're waking up and sorting breakfast. Pretty standard stuff for their kind of holiday, right?
Totally standard. But then this new boy turns up near where they're camping.
This is Richard.
Richard, yes. And straight away, there's this little detail that's quite telling, isn't it? He mistakes George for a boy.
Because of her short hair and her name, yeah. He's even a bit put out thinking she's eating his breakfast share or something.
George is, understandably, pretty astonished. But that small confusion, it sets a tone immediately, doesn't it?
Yeah, a hint that things might not be quite what they seem, which, as you said, becomes a big theme later.
Exactly. And Richard, he doesn't waste time. He starts talking about his father, who sounds like, well, quite a character.
According to Richard, the dad's pretty fierce, prone to tempers and rages and furies. Never forgets a wrong, like an elephant, apparently.
Made plenty of enemies too, Richard says. Even needed a bodyguard sometimes.
And Dick, one of the other boys, he hears this and thinks it's extremely thrilling.
Which is such a classic kid reaction, isn't it? Hearing about danger from a safe distance.
It really highlights that youthful gap between hearing a dramatic story and grasping the potential, real danger behind it. What does this intro to Richard tell you straight off?
Oh, it's brilliant writing. Blyton immediately drops this hint that Richard isn't just some random kid they've bumped into. He brings this potential for, like, real-world threat into their adventure. He's connected to something serious.
Definitely. And despite this, slightly intimidating background, Richard seems super keen to join them, wants to tag along to Middlecombe Woods.
He comes up with this story about visiting an aunt nearby as an excuse.
Very persuasive. Says he'll just cycle home quickly, ask his mom, then meet them later at Croper's Corner. Claims it's barely out of his way.
But this is where Blyton cleverly sows those first seeds of doubt, like you mentioned. Julian looks at him doubtfully.
Yeah, he's not very sure if Richard really would go home. And later, Anne clocks how very quickly he managed to get to Croker's Corner after supposedly cycling all the way back.
And that's the narrative trusting the kid's instincts, right? It's not telling us Richard's lying. It's showing the sensible characters, noticing the little things that don't add up.
It really makes you pay attention to their observations. It's how the mystery builds.
You learn to trust those little cues they pick up on.
It also gives us a glimpse of the existing group dynamic, George getting protective over Timmy when Dick teases him about his weight.
Julian stepping in, being stern but fair when needed. They have their own rhythm, which is about to get seriously shaken up.
Right. So off they go towards Middlecombe Woods. They stick to the quieter country roads, avoiding the main traffic.
And, surprise, surprise, Richard is there, waiting at Croker's Corner, looking all cheerful.
His quick arrival just makes those earlier doubts stronger, though, doesn't it? But they don't challenge him directly.
No, not yet. He's trying to fit in, even tries riding 3 abreast, which Julian immediately puts a stop to.
I shall stop you, Julian says, when Richard sort of shrugs off the rule. It's another little flash of Julian's leadership. He's still in charge, even on holiday.
Definitely. So they carry on and find what sounds like the absolute perfect camping spot in the woods.
A little dell, set with primroses and violets, a perfectly hidden place. Sounds lovely. Secluded, peaceful.
Uh-huh. The kind of place where you'd think nothing could possibly go wrong.
Which, in Blyton world, usually means something's about to.
Exactly. Practical stuff comes first. They need food, so they need a farmhouse. And Dick finds a slow puncture in his tire.
So Dick and Anne stay behind to fix the bike, while Julian and George head off with Timmy to find supplies.
And their trip to the farmhouse isn't great, actually. Fierce dogs barking.
An unwelcoming farmer yelling, "We don't want no strangers here."
Yeah, and the food they get is pretty basic, not very appetizing. They leave feeling a bit frustrated. Kind of sets a slightly off-key mood.
Meanwhile, back in the dell, things are about to get much worse. Dick and Anne, with Richard, they hear sounds.
Starts as shouting, then escalates. Panic-stricken shrieks, the book says.
It's Richard, yelling for help, crashing through the bushes.
He's absolutely terrified, screaming, "They're after me!"
And then, bam! Two men burst out and grab Dick.
This is it, the big turning point. Dick's yelling, "I'm not the boy you're looking for." But the men won't listen.
They're convinced he's Richard Kent, their brilliant logic.
Dick is short for Richard. Unbelievable. They mention a name, Rookie, and say they're taking him to a place that sounds like Owl's Dene.
Anne's just left there, utterly terrified and confused. It happens so fast, so violently.
It's the core mistake, isn't it? Mistaken identity based purely on a name. What does that tell you about these guys?
Well, it tells you they're probably not the sharpest tools in the box, but definitely ruthless. Operating under orders, maybe?
Seems likely. They don't check, they just grab the kid whose name fits. Instantly establishes them as a serious threat, even if they're a bit incompetent.
So Julian and George get back from their not-so-great farm visit.
And find Anne distraught, Dick gone. Anne manages to tell them everything. The mistaken identity, the name Rookie, the destination Owl's Dene.
And this is crunch time for Richard. Still sobbing and scared, he finally confesses he lied, never went home, Aunt was away.
He just went straight to Croker's corner. Julian's reaction is instant. Disgust. You can feel it.
Richard then has to explain why he was running, this Rookie character.
He's Richard's father's ex-bodyguard. Fired because Richard told tales, apparently. And Rookie swore revenge. He'd recognized Richard earlier that day.
Julian, being Julian, puts two and two together instantly. Rookie saw Richard, yes, but Rookie wasn't one of the men who actually grabbed Dick.
Right. It was the other guys. The ones who didn't know Richard by sight. They just heard Dick, assumed it was Richard Kent, and grabbed the wrong boy to use against Richard's dad.
And they've taken him to Owl's Dene.
The reaction from the others towards Richard now is pretty harsh.
Understandably, Julian calls him a frightful little coward. George is fierce, flat out blaming him for messing up their holiday and getting Dick nabbed. It's rough.
It is rough, but you see her point. It highlights the immediate fallout from Richard's lies and his fear. But even amidst all the blaming, George has a practical thought.
Typical George. Let's look at the map.
And Anne spots Owl's Hill. Julian finds a building marked on the hill and makes the leap. Owl's Dene must be on Owl's Hill.
Suddenly they have a plan, a target. It shifts the energy from blame to action. Let's find Dick.
So the remaining four kids, Julian, George, Anne, Richard plus Timmy, head off towards Owl's Hill, with Richard now riding Dick's repaired bike.
As they get close, near some ruined hut, they hear a car, then see it.
A black Bentley. License plate KMF 102. Moving quietly, no headlights on. That's immediately suspicious, right?
Very. Especially out here. They hide and watch. A man gets out of the Bentley, meets another man near the hut.
And they overhear something really chilling. Stuff him down the well.
Oof. They then see the second man change clothes, bundle up the old ones, and throw them down a broken well nearby.
Julian wonders if he's a spy, maybe a deserter. The Bentley drives off fast.
They check the well, but it's too deep, too dark, can't see a thing. It just adds another layer of mystery, this hint of other illicit stuff going on.
Yeah, it definitely broadens the scope of the danger. It suggests Owl's Dene isn't just about this one kidnapping. There's more going on. Maybe disposing of evidence. Or worse, the stakes feel higher now.
Carefully, they approach Owl's Dene itself. They see the same black Bentley, KMF 102, driving out of the gates.
They hide again. And notice something really odd about the gates.
They open automatically for the car. Done by machinery, Julian notes.
But then, after the kids quickly cycle through the open gates, they close behind them. Automatically. And lock.
Julian realizes instantly, we're locked in. We're as much prisoners here as Dick is.
And there's a high wall all around the property. That detail, the automated gates, the wall, it tells you something about Owl's Dene itself, doesn't it?
It's not just a house. It's designed as a trap, a prison, deliberately.
Precisely. The environment itself is hostile, reinforcing that feeling of being cut off, vulnerable, just like Dick.
So trapped inside, they get their first proper look at the house. Big place, E-shaped, courtyard, all overgrown.
And then they hear that weird and terrible screech.
Yeah. Screech owls. Fits the name, Owl's Dene. Adds to the spooky atmosphere.
Definitely. They start creeping around, looking for any sign of Dick. They peek through a kitchen window curtain.
And what they see tells them a lot about the people inside. There's a dwarf-like fellow with a hunched back,
Later called Hunchy.
and a miserable-looking woman, Aggie.
And the vibe between them is awful.
Yeah.
Hunchy's got this evil face, a nasty temper, threatening Aggie with a poker.
Yeah, that little scene instantly shows you the kind of people running this place. Cruel, volatile, and Aggie is clearly scared, probably a victim herself.
Not people you want to mess with. They see a light high up in a window, think it might be Dick's room.
Try throwing stones to get attention. Someone appears for a second, then vanishes.
So someone's up there, maybe Dick.
Yeah.
But they can't be sure. The tension's just building and building. They're inside, they've seen shady stuff, they know the residents are nasty, and they're trapped.
They spot an open window. Julian decides they have to risk it, go inside. Richard's terrified, but Julian pushes them on.
And almost immediately, they're caught by Mr. Purton, who was right there in the room,
The consequences are instant. Putin slams the window shut.
prepping Timmy outside.
And George hurts her hand, trying to wrench it open again for the dog. Purton shouts for Aggie.
And Aggie appears, looking scared, miserable, confirms her whole situation in the house. She's clearly terrified of Purton.
Julian, though, steps up. Incredible nerve. He confronts Purton directly, explains they're looking for his brother Dick, taken by mistake instead of Richard Kent.
And then he plays that card. One of us was, in the tree overhead, suggesting they saw something no more than Purton thinks.
It seems to work, makes Purton pause, become thoughtful. Richard, meanwhile, is just shaking, terrified he'll be swapped for Dick. Which, I mean, is a fair fear.
Totally fair. Purton denies having a prisoner at first, but he's clearly thinking. Aggie brings them some pretty poor food.
Julian manages a quiet word with Aggie. She's sympathetic, but scared. Hints about Rookie, about the house having secrets, queer comings and goings.
Aggie's little contribution there is vital. It shows there's someone inside who isn't entirely on the villain side. And it hints at deeper secrets.
They get put in a room with some mattresses. Julian, ever the planner, comes up with the scheme.
Tells the others, pretend to sleep. He's going to sneak out and explore once Purton checks on them and leaves. He even figures Purton will lock the door, so he plans to hide, wait, then unlock it from the inside after Purton's gone.
His leadership really comes through here. Thinking ahead, taking calculated risks.
And the plan works. While the others are asleep, Julian slips out, explores the house, finds Dick, locked in an upstairs room.
Dick confirms he's okay, but says he hasn't seen Rookie yet. Rookie's expected in the morning.
Julian also hears snoring somewhere, follows the sound.
And makes a huge discovery. A secret panel behind a bookcase.
Leads to a hidden room. And inside, a sleeping man. The snorer. He also spots the machinery for the automatic gates nearby.
Finding that hidden room, the sleeping guy, it's not just a cool secret passage, is it? It tells Julian this place is designed for hiding people. Suggests a much bigger criminal operation.
Exactly. More than just kidnapping. And seeing the gate machinery, that's a potential escape route, or at least a way to control things. Crucial intel.
Morning comes. Aggie brings him some breakfast in the kitchen. Hunchy's there, scowling as usual.
Julian confirms his plan worked. The door wasn't locked when Aggie came. He quickly tells the others what he found. Dick's okay, the hidden man, the secret panel, the gate controls.
You can imagine their reaction. Relief about Dick, excitement about the secrets. It gives them hope, knowledge.
Hunchy tries to order them around, but Julian just faces him down. I don't take orders from you. Pretty bold.
Very bold. And then they hear it, that groaning sound of the gate machinery starting up.
Julian knows immediately. I'm guessing it's Rookie that's coming through them, he says. Which surprises Hunchy. How does Julian know?
The black Bentley, KMF 102, pulls in. Rookie gets out with two other men. Richard is absolutely petrified, shaking.
And the gates close, locking everyone inside with Rookie. The tension must be unbearable.
Julian's stuck in the kitchen. Hunchy's blocking the way. He has a sudden, desperate idea. He tells Richard, rub soot in your hair, quick.
To hide his distinctive, bright yellow hair. Richard, terrified as he is, does it. A real spur-of-the-moment camouflage attempt.
Dick's brought downstairs then, taken to meet Rookie. They can overhear Rookie's reaction.
He's not the boy. Fools, you've got the wrong boy. Confirmation they messed up.
Rookie, Purton, and Dick come into the kitchen. Rookie gives the kids a quick glance. His eyes pass over Richard.
The boy with the sooty hair. Without recognition, he hadn't recognized him.
What a moment. A huge win for Richard's hasty disguise and Julian's quick thinking. Julian presses the advantage immediately.
confronts Purton, who admits the mistake, offers them £10 to basically shut up about the inconvenience.
£10, and Rookie throws in a threat about reporting them for trespassing if they ever breathe a word.
Julian takes the money. Richard's still visibly scared of Rookie. As they're being ushered out, Julian does something quite touching.
He quietly slips the £10 to Aggie,
Who's just overwhelmed with gratitude. It's such a contrast, the kid's decency versus the villain's cruelty.
So they're out of the house, cycling down the drive. The gates are open. Freedom. They're almost there.
And then the crunch. The gates start closing again, right in front of them, trapping them inside the grounds once more.
Just devastating. And the black Bentley screeches back up the drive.
Ricky jumps out. Where's the other boy? He spots Richard, drags him forward.
And despite the soot, this time, Rookie recognizes him.
Yes, I thought, so this is the boy we want.
He starts threatening Richard, big ransom, revenge. Julian is furious, stands up to him, shouts about prison, kidnapping.
And then Timmy, loyal Timmy, dives in and bites Rookie's hand. Hard!
It creates this incredibly tense standoff. Rookie's enraged, wants to hurt Timmy, but Purton seems wary of the dog. Rookie insists they're all prisoners now, and he's keeping Richard. Calls Richard a miserable little coward. Ouch! Rookie and Purton retreat back to the house to deal with the bite, leaving the kids shaken by the gates.
In the aftermath, George snaps at Richard again, calls him a coward, but Julian steps in.
He reflects, doesn't he? Says true bravery isn't about not being scared, it's about thinking of others. Uses Anne as an example.
It's a more nuanced take. Richard is hurt, but you feel like Julian's words sink in. He resolves to try to be brave, like them. It's a subtle shift, but important.
Aggie comes down to them then, and they notice the gates didn't open for her this time. Reinforces the prison idea.
She confirms it. They're trapped. The walls are impossible to climb over. Like a prison, she says.
And then she drops the bombshell. The really chilling warning. Hunchy's been ordered to put poison in Timmy's food.
That just shows you how cruel these people are. Immediate danger to Timmy. Aggie promises she'll get them safe food somehow, continuing her quiet resistance.
So trapped again, facing a threat to Timmy, they explore the grounds, realize how isolated Owl's Dene is. Weird to find a place like this, tucked away on a deserted hill, self-sufficient, cut off.
They talk about the hidden man Julian found. Figure their only real hope is if Richard's parents have reported him missing, if help comes from outside.
Hunchy tries to intimidate them while he's cleaning the Bentley. Julian cleverly uses the poison knowledge to scare him off.
Nice move. Aggie manages to sneak them their real dinner, hidden in a washing basket. She's still risking things for them. They need a new escape plan.
Julian's watching the Bentley, remembers Purton mentioned going out that night, which means
The gates will have to open. That's their window.
the idea forms, hide someone in the car boot, quick calculation, only Richard is small enough.
Then Richard speaks up. I'll go then, offers himself.
The others are stunned. You'd be scared stiff. That's their immediate reaction, doubt.
But Richard's reply, it's different this time. He admits he's scared, yes, but he wants to try. He asks them, pleads almost, I do wish you'd trust me a bit.
And Anne gets it. Her quiet insight again, she defends him. Says he's trying to be brave because he's thinking about them this time. He's thinking of our skins this time.
It's a huge moment for Richard. Real bravery isn't being fearless. It's acting despite the fear for others.
Julian agrees, sees the change, lays out the plan, the high stakes. Hide in the boot. Wait till the car stops well away from Owl's Dene. Get out, find the nearest police station, give the address. Owl's Dene, Owl's Hill, near Middlecombe Woods.
Anne gives Richard a hug. Julian gives him this approving thump on the back. That physical contact, it shows their respect has shifted. They believe in him now.
Julian remembers a crucial detail. The boot won't open from inside. They have to wedge it slightly open with a stick for air, and so Richard can push his way out.
Richard climbs in, crammed, probably terrified but resolute. They wedge the stick in place. The plan is live.
That evening, back in their room for supper. Amazingly, Aggie and Hunchy don't seem to notice Richard's missing.
Aggie whispers some huge news she heard on the wireless. Richard has been reported missing. Police message is out. Missing from home since Wednesday. Richard Thurlow-Kent.
But Aggie's doubtful the police can find them here. She describes Owl's Dene so vividly.
Yeah. No phone, no gas, no electricity, no water laid on, no nothing. Only just secrets and signs and comings and goings and threats. Paints a picture of total isolation.
Then Hunchy comes in, says Ricky wants Richard brought for lessons. A chilling reminder of the danger Richard just escaped.
The others are just so relieved Richard isn't there. When Rookie storms in, furious, hand-bandaged.
Demanding to know where Richard is, Julian and Dick play dumb brilliantly. Must be in the grounds somewhere, maybe hiding in the house.
They know he's miles away, hopefully heading for help. Rookie is livid. Searches, finds nothing. Julian then overhears Rookie and Purton talking.
They figured it out. Richard escaped in the boot. And they're planning to just kick the other kids out before the police show up, cut their losses.
Purton comes back, confirms they know about the boot escape, and starts shoving the children towards the gates. Freedom, again.
But just as they're being pushed out, sirens, police cars roaring up the hill, right to the gates.
Incredible timing. Purton panics, shoves them back inside the grounds towards the house.
Julian overhears more panic talk between Purton and Rookie mention of sparklers.
Which we find out later means diamonds. And Rookie's rage is escalating. He looks quite crazy. Julian knows they're in real immediate danger from Rookie now.
He needs to hide them. Fast. And has another brainwave. The secret room.
Even with the hidden man still in there.
Yes. He figures it's the safest bet. The hidden man is a criminal himself. He won't give away the secret room to the police just to betray them. It's a gamble, but it makes sense.
He convinces the others. They rush to the study. Julian finds the hidden knob on the bookcase, pulls the books off.
Slides the panel open. Inside, the small, candlelit room. The big burly fellow with very small, close-set eyes and a cruel mouth. Weston utterly astonished to see them barge in.
Julian tells George to get Timmy to growl, keep the man intimidated on the bed. Then Julian makes another incredibly brave call.
He decides to stay outside the hidden room, to close the panel properly, replace the books so Rookie won't find it.
Putting himself right in Rookie's path. Anne must be terrified for him.
He tells the hidden man, police are outside, probably to ensure his silence. Closes the panel, shoves the books back. Just as Rookie bursts in, smashing the study door, whip in hand, looking completely unhinged.
Julian hides. His heart must be absolutely pounding. But then, final moment of genius.
He spots the gate machinery in the study, turns the wheel.
Rookie hears it. Hears the gates opening, panics completely. The gates are being opened, forgets the kids, forgets everything, just bolts, flees.
Julian, adrenaline pumping, runs to the front door, throws it open for the police who are hammering on it now. End of the chase.
Wow. The police flood in. Julian leads them. The inspector talks to Purton, and it all comes out. Dene is a known criminal hub.
Helping criminals escape, planning robberies, hiding loot. The inspector says they're looking for Weston and the diamonds.
And Julian steps up. I know where they are. Tells them about the hidden prisoner and the sparklers. Rookie's furious, but helpless.
Julian leads them to the study, opens the secret panel.
Revealing the kids, Timmy, the terrified Weston, and the diamonds, presumably. Purton is livid that a bunch of kids wrecked his whole setup.
Even now, Julian remembers Aggie, tells the inspector about her, and Hunchy asks them to be kind to her, shows his character.
The police arrest the lot, the kids are taken away, bundled into police cars, and even the villain's Bentley, leaving their bikes behind for now.
The inspector finds out Julian's parents are away, but then gets a message Richard's mother has invited them all to stay, tell the whole story.
Julian's reaction is pure relief and pride. Wants to bang old Richard on the back. Why? Because he turned out quite a hero after all.
The inspector needs them to stay and give statements, acknowledging how much they helped crack the case.
They finally arrive at Richard's house, very late. Richard's there, clean, eager to hear everything. His father, Mr. Kent, is home too.
Baths, clean clothes. They note that Richard's parents, and George too, keep up the charade about George being a boy. Funny little detail.
At dinner, Mr. Kent starts by expressing disappointment about Richard's initial lies and cowardice. Julian agrees at first.
But then he tells the story of Richard volunteering for the car boot. That took some doing, believe me, he says. Adds, I think quite a bit of Richard now.
And the others all chime in, praising Richard. Even Timmy gives a friendly bark. Richard is just beaming, so pleased and touched.
It's a proper redemption arc. He earned their respect through that one brave act.
Mr. Kent acknowledges how badly it could have ended. But Anne sums it up happily. But it didn't. We can all breathe again.
And Dick, already looking ahead, says, till the next time. Always ready for the next adventure.
What a ride. Just incredible how a simple cycling trip twisted into kidnapping, a spooky house full of secrets, uncovering a whole criminal network.
All kicked off by one boy's lie and a chance meeting. It really drives home how small actions can snowball into huge, dangerous consequences.
And how deceptive appearances can be, right? Dene looks like just a house on a hill, but it's a criminal den. Richard seems like just a coward, but finds real bravery when it matters most.
Their teamwork, their individual strengths were key. Julian's planning, George's practicality, Anne's empathy, Richard's big moment, Timmy's loyalty, even Aggie's quiet help.
Absolutely. This deep dive really shows how paying attention to those little details, those inconsistencies, can be crucial, and how adventure and danger can lurk just out of sight.
So, based on what we've explored here from Al's Dene, maybe consider this. How many significant things, maybe even dangerous events, are set in motion by seemingly tiny choices or pure chance encounters happening quietly but out of view in the most ordinary seeming places around us?